Podcast, the all-family show where black and brown brilliance shines, justice speaks, and culture reigns. I'm Chaya, and alongside my sisters, my broham, and my son, which is our fam bam, we're bringing unapologetic conversations, hot takes, and stories that amplify our voices. Now hit subscribe, ring that bell, and join the family, because this isn't just a podcast, it's our movement. Between family, we don't shy away from the hard questions. Tonight, we're cracking open one of the oldest, most complicated, and most necessary conversations. What is the definition of a man? Is it about muscles, money, and mastery, or is it about love, legacy, and the courage to be vulnerable? We've got generations at this table, or should I say on this couch. My Gen X wisdom, along with my sister Shanah, Yve with her millennial self bringing her truth, my son Chris representing Gen Z, and Antoine, the Candace Owens of the family. Clock it. We don't know how we deal with him, but he'll be here sharing what manhood looks like. Together, we're not just defining manhood, we're remixing it. So lean in, because what you're about to hear might challenge your upbringing, your relationships, and even your reflection in the mirror. That was deep. There's clearly levels of manhood, and I know we've seen a lot of things in the stratosphere or the atmosphere regarding toxic masculinity, or men that don't date within their race, or men that feel like all their worth is the money, men that feel like they're not seen, men that feel like they don't try to date black women or be with black women because black women are too, you know what I mean? Or maybe that they've been hurt. It's just so many volumes of what a man is. So we're going to kickstart this with Chris on one side and Shanah on the other side.
Okay.
And they're going to go head to head on what is the definition of a man from a Gen X view and from a Gen Z view.
Chris, as the man in this, I'm going to allow you to go first because it is actually your experience.
Okay. As far as what defines a man, I feel like there are a number of things that define a man. I think that's not really a monolith, or there's no one monolithic view of what manhood is. Just like in the same way when you talk about love, there's really no concrete way to define it, right? That tends to be transposed into different perceptions depending on who you ask. But from a generational standpoint, if you want to tackle it that way, right? Just from what I've experienced from my peers and what we kind of see as manhood. One of the things that me and some of my close friends have discussed, and these are friends that I trust to have these conversations with, because you really can't have conversations like this with every man, especially given whether it be the time in their lives or, a number of different things, right? So with the people that I have discussed it with, one of the common threads that we've kind of stumbled upon was this idea of vulnerability, right? So as far as what it means to be vulnerable, what the value is in vulnerability, and what that means for a man's vulnerability as it pertains to his family, right? So as a man, as far as, again, given the conversations that I've had with my peers, we kind of stray away from vulnerability, right? In the sense of we have to maintain this image and this character, I guess, if you want to call it that, right? Maintain this character, this image to, how do I explain it really? Maintain an image and character to fulfill a role, right? And that role oftentimes has a specific set of guidelines that you have to follow as a man, right? Whether it's protecting, provision, whether it's monetary provision, emotional provision, what have you, right? Leadership, all of these different things. But in no sense of the word does anybody ever come to this idea of vulnerability, right? It's always what as a man I can do in action to provide for somebody else, right? But what does a man mean to that man? Right? Usually we talk about being a man as it relates to other people. But as a man, when you're behind closed doors, what does manhood feel like? Right? So this idea of vulnerability, and I'll make this very brief, right? One of the things that I often write about is vulnerability being a superpower, right? So when we try to, and this doesn't go just for men, but it also goes for women too, right? Once you're able to put down, or rather bring down this wall of I got it, I'm good, I don't need anybody, I can handle it, right? That relatability makes you more human. Once people can see the humanity in you, it's easy for you to have honest and transparent conversations in relationships. But if you're always saying I'm good, if you're always saying I got it, if you're always saying I don't need anybody, then that's how people treat you, right? So as a man, we go through a great deal of internal turmoil. Will you ever know about it? Probably not. Right? But while you see the smiles, while you see providing, while you see what I can do, what you don't see is what happens when we're behind closed doors. Having to think about paying the bills, having to think about providing for your family, having to think about, all right, how I'm gonna make, four figures into six figures by next year. All these different things, right? Coming before even taking care of yourself. Right? All of these different things that we think about that don't involve the emotional aspect. Right? So you got this cascading list of 20 different things that you got to worry about on a day to day. The last thing on that list is you yourself as a man. Right? So not many people see that. You only see that in conversation. So again, just to keep that brief, being vulnerable offers again that humanity um, as a man to other people. Right? So having the strength to be vulnerable, I think, is a major facet of being a man. But again, I don't really want to go too far into that because this will become a lecture as opposed to a conversation. But you can kind of speak to, I guess, what you kind of think about vulnerability, I guess, in that sense, or something different. But
So let's start at the beginning. In the beginning, God. So in the beginning, God created man in his own image, which is why we go directly into the man is supposed to lead. The man is supposed to provide. The man is supposed to protect. So that is where the bigger the man is supposed to go out to kill the cow, the woman, and then he brings it home and the woman cooks it. To that point, we teach our boys when they fall and they scrape their knee, don't cry. Or when they don't make the team and they're upset, you tell them, don't cry. But then they get older and then they're in a relationship to the point that Chris just made. They're not emotionally available now in this relationship to be vulnerable with this partner. So then now there's this thing to where she's like, well, why doesn't he express himself? Well, why doesn't he share with me? Because in his mind, he's always been taught I'm supposed to lead, I'm supposed to provide, I'm supposed to protect. These are the things I'm supposed to do. And so these are the things I do. But then there are times, not for, and this does not go for all men, because there are men who are able to share and express and be vulnerable. So this does not, I'm not speaking for all men. That is not what I'm saying. But there are those to where they're emotionally unavailable. And we as women, sometimes as the mom, we sometimes have to watch the stuff that we unload onto our boys, because sometimes our stuff can then be downloaded on to them, and then it becomes a thing.
So just off that idea, and we can kind of spread this conversation a little bit further, right? So to this idea of vulnerability, whether it's in a romantic relationship or a platonic one,
Right.
right? This idea of vulnerability being almost exclusive to a woman, right? On the in the chance or in the event that a man expresses vulnerability, right? Is there such thing as being too vulnerable?
I mean, here's the thing. If we sleep and there's somebody at the door, I don't I don't want to have to fight like harder than you do. That's just my thing. So I think that I don't know if there's such a thing as too much, but I think it depends on in where the vulnerable spots
Context.
are. Because if I'm the one that's going to drop kick the person trying to rob our house, I don't know if I would like this.
I don't think that's vulnerability though. I think
No,
that's more
I know
speaking to a
I'm
gender role,
right,
right? Vulnerability is like, I'm feeling this today, and I'm
right.
going to tell you everything that I feel,
I don't think there can be
irregardless
enough
of how
of
you may
that.
perceive it.
I don't think there can be enough of that. I want to know what you're feeling, because if I know, then I can figure out the parts that I need to do to make this work.
With that, because of the fact that you're talking about relationships, I'd like to bring in Eve and Antoine on this because they are in a relationship and y'all have been together for how long?
Uh, it's going on 4 years, yeah. Going on four. We've known each other for
Already?
15. Yeah, it's going on four. We've known each other for
Wow, it just
15
seemed
years.
like yesterday.
They've been
Big.
together for almost 4 years, as Eve said, and obviously in relationships you have ups, you have downs, you have
Mhm.
ins, you have outs, you have backs, and you have forths. However, in this particular situation, Yvette, as
Mhm.
the woman in this relationship, what did Antoine portray or show you as a man that you said this is supposed to be the guy that I want to be with?
When it comes to knowing that he was the one, um, hmm, there's a couple of things.
Antoine
One,
needs to control his face. Sorry.
yes, he's a hater. But anyway, so when it came to him, it was his ability to one, it was his ability to love me in all of my seasons. Um, because as a woman, especially in this family, we know that we could be very strong-minded, strong-willed, very
Not this girl.
anyway, so we could be very strong-minded and very strong-willed in all of these things. And for him to be patient enough to allow me to grow in that, that's where what made me really love him beyond anything in regards to that, because he was able to love me through every season. Um, and also with me loving him the correct way, it also gave him a chance to grow and to be vulnerable and to express himself and to actually want to mature for our relationship, both of us. You know, we had to shred a lot of past trauma, a lot of issues that we had, a lot of things that I brought into this relationship, a lot of things that he brought into this relationship. But because we decided that we were going to make a decision to really work through it, I think his willingness to do anything for this relationship is very admirable. So that's what really made me feel as if he was the one. You're mad annoying.
I'm not going to do this with you.
Mad
So,
annoying.
Antoine,
Mad annoying.
because of her response, what was it about her that made you, or what about her made you say, this is the type of man that I want to be?
Um, I mean, I could go to an incident where I felt like as a man, I disappointed her in a way. As a man, I said I was going to do something, and in that moment, I didn't fulfill it to the best abilities I could have done. So, in other words, like as a man, sometimes, and then I'm gonna say I don't want to throw like astrology, but as a Leo man, I'm very prideful at times. So my pride is like it's like it's my hubris. It's either my greatest achievement and then my worst downfall. So in that moment, I think she just made this one face that at that moment I was just like, you know what, brother? If you really rocking with her like you say you are, you got to do what you got to do. Like no ifs, ands, no buts, no negotiation. Like if she said this is it, yo, that's it. And from that moment, I have never looked back after that. Like if she said I need this from you, it's not like I do this tomorrow. It's I do it the second. So I would say from that, she made me more accountable with myself. That if I say I'm going to do something, I have to stick with it, and follow through no matter what. But the moment that I thought, I mean, I would say our friendship been weird because she's always been my favorite person, even when we were friends. I always said she was my favorite girlfriend when we was, even though when it was only a couple months, I was like, I had fun because we just, in that moment, I never had a chance to have a war with her. It was just I'm myself and then she was herself. So for me, that always resonated with me because it was just like this is the only person I can actually be my 100% with without no judgment. Like even now, like I think I'm even weirder now than I was before. And she still be like, I'm rocking with you. I'm like, as you should. So So I would say like for her, that's the reason why. I would say like no matter what, I can be myself. I don't have to be judged. This is the one like in other words, if I step out to the world, I know I'm gonna be judged. When I step with her, I can be me. So like and it kind of goes back what Chris says, like who are you when you're alone? The same person I am alone, I am with her. There's no change. It's like sometimes we can't be alone for too long because then it's like, yo, where my partner at? Because I was already used to being alone. But like I said, me alone and with her is the same feeling. So it's just like, all right, where is she at? Because we need to, we gotta get back to the beat that we're on. So that's where I'm coming from.
We know because we are with her when you're not there and we hear your calls over like you're calling again. So we know what you feel that you miss her with.
So Antoine and Chris, when was the last time you gave your heart and you were very vulnerable with a person? It doesn't have to be somebody that you're in relationship with, but you felt comfortable enough to be vulnerable with a person and they undercut you and you were just like, never again.
Man, um, I mean, I don't know a person, but I have so many scenarios where so I can disconnect completely. Like it takes one time for me to show you vulnerability, and if you, I don't want to say because you're not, no one's obligated to take anything I say into consideration, have any empathy or sympathy for what I have to say. But if you have like a true disregard of what I'm saying and how I'm feeling about something that we're going through, it's easy for me to just disconnect. Like it's like you don't exist anymore. It's like, cool, you're a regular person on the street. You could be family, friends. Like Yvette could tell you, like my cutoff game is real. Because the thing about it is, I don't have too many close people in my life. The same people I rock with, the same people I've been rocking with for my whole entire life. My friend, that's my brother. I know him since I was 3 years old, and that's my guy to this day. And I lost too many good people, especially in the last couple of years, that for me is like I don't need anything new in my life. It's like I'm comfortable with the people that's with me because this is our circle. This is how we grow within each other. We keep each other accountable. We make sure that if you are vulnerable and you need to confide in somebody, there's space for it. Like I had a friend that had a problem about a situation that happened with the group, and he expressed himself about how he felt. And I think for him, with his own personal traumas, he wasn't allowing himself to accept our sympathy and our apology for the situation. Even if we say it 1,000 times, like, yo, bro, I love you. Ain't no hard feelings. Life is just life right now. And it's just a coincidence that it happened around this time. And even like I said it 1,000 times, like, yo, bro, I love you. You're not listening to me. And then he's like, you're not hearing me. And I'm like, I heard everything you said. The answer is, yo, bro, I love you. Next time it won't happen again. And it is what it is. It's like, and it kind of goes back with Chris, because it's like, I'll plead with Yvette, but if it comes to me and my mans, I'm not pleading with you. I said it one time, that's it. Respect it. The same way how I respect your feelings. I acknowledge it. I gave you a response that I felt was the right response, and I still reassured him that love is always there. It's just it's a situation.
But you do feel that um another man, even though obviously you are a heterosexual man, but another man can definitely have that impact on you to where you feel like you put your heart out, because not too many men tell other men that aren't their siblings or family members, I love you. It just doesn't, that I've seen. And if
And I
they
give
do
it
say it, they always got to say pause, as if, you know what I mean?
give it to
So,
his friends. His friends, they're very much like, I love you, bro. Like they talk every day type of thing. And I just like, oh, but yeah, like honestly, they're really tight when it comes to that, like saying I love you all the time. I give them that.
Yeah, but speaking to that point, and it really doesn't have to be a man woman thing, right? For a man, stuff like that comes from, again, the fact that men are not naturally vulnerable, right? So to be vulnerable is to offer you my weakness, to tell you what my weakness is. So what you do with that now, right? That will dictate the 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 parameters of the relationship. So now let's look at this romantically. If I tell you, hey, right, I went through this when I was younger, this hurts me, right? Just hearing about this type of situation hurts me. If I tell you this type of situation or the way you talk to me hurts me, that's me telling you what makes me bleed, right? As a man or as someone who's a quote unquote warrior, right? You're not supposed to tell the opposition or anybody else what your weakness is, right? Because now that gives them an advantage.
yeah.
Love should never feel like a power struggle, right? Whether it's romantic or platonic. So if I tell you what my weakness is and consciously you make that transgression to now use my weakness against me, I can't rock with you anymore, right? I can't rock with you anymore. In a romantic relationship, where it becomes damaging is if I tell you, and especially as a man, right? With men, when we're looking for a partner, we're not necessarily looking for what you can do for me, right? If that makes sense. That's a woman's job. They're looking for how can this man provide for me, blah, 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 blah. Right? As a man, we're just here to do what we got to do. We just need you to hold us down, right? We need a rock at that point. So in that sense, I'm showing up every day telling you I love you, regardless of what's going on. You can yell at me, scream at me. You do all these emotional or emotionally, I'm not going to say irrational, but emotionally irregular things that men are not used to because we don't have to deal with the hormones. We don't have to deal with the monthly, right? You guys are naturally emotional creatures. So when you lash out and do all these things, for most good men, we accept that, right? Because that's the expectation, right? So we love you regardless of. But now if I have a moment or if I have something that you know is a weakness to me, and then you use that against me, that's damaging beyond repair. Because I offered that to you. I think Antoine spoke to this before, right? I'm cool with being alone. I'm very cool with being alone. So the moment I reach out to you and say, hey, this is me, nobody sees this but you. Now, once you use that against someone who prefers being alone, that's damage beyond repair. Damage beyond repair. Women, again, y'all wear your hearts on your sleeve, right? You're naturally emotional, but as someone who has to be a protector, right? Offering that openness, it's perceived differently. It's perceived differently.
True. However, as the emotional being that women are, I know for me, I'm at the stage where I will be alone by myself if it's going to protect my peace. And that goes for family, friends, and men. So I think there is also at times where it's just like, if it's not gonna serve me, I just rather be by myself. And that's with friendships, that's with family, and with the relationship.
But now, how do we balance? Because I think this is really prevalent within this generation. And me and mom spoke to this a couple of days ago, maybe last week. It's really not even a generational thing. I think it's more of a societal thing, right? Especially where we're at right now. This idea of hyper independency, right? So going this route of, again, protecting my peace, but being so far in that you completely shut yourself off emotionally from relationships, when in reality, we're supplemental to our counterparts,
Mhm.
right? This is not meant to be a power struggle. It's not meant to be, oh, I got me, I got me, I got me, I got me. You cannot live life like that.
You can't.
Cannot. It's impossible.
You
So
can't.
of course you want to protect your peace, but it's also a matter of everybody's imperfect, right? Now, granted, obviously don't let somebody else's problems destroy you, right? But there has to be some level of acceptance of where somebody else is at because they have to do the same thing for you, right? So in terms of again, whether it's romantic, platonic, we need other people. Hence why isolate or what's it called? Solitary confinement is like cruel and unusual punishment.
Right.
Because we need other people. We need somebody to bounce off of. You need a mirror, essentially.
But I think with that, people misunderstand protecting my peace.
Hmm.
It doesn't mean I'm going to not speak to people. I'm going to totally just be by myself. It
Hmm.
I'm going to be more aware. I'm going to be choosing love. I'm going to,
So
you know,
discernment almost.
yes, right. It's going to be,
Mhm.
I'm going to give you, I'm a crack the door open, but I may leave that like latch on. And then if I feel that I can, feel, oh, okay, this is cool, I will take the latch off. And I think to your point, that's where people get it, it's just like, no, it doesn't mean stop speaking to people. It means be aware.
And then I want to piggyback on what you said because I was watching something and I think somebody was like, we as people we tend to stay in situations longer than it needs to be. So with that understanding from what you're saying, it's like you're saving yourself a lot of time and
Time
a lot of time, a lot of, because we're trying to,
and energy.
yeah, because a lot of time as humans, and this is why we say we're flawed. We try to control all outcomes of everything in our life, and we never let something just be what it is. So, I understand completely. Like I tell all the time, like if this is it, I'm cool with being alone. Like I'll just because it's hard to one give yourself to someone, and then like I said, she knows everything about me that even I didn't know about myself before. And then she put it to the forefront, and then now I'm understanding who I am as a person. And then it's like, I'm not doing this again with nobody else. Like,
I'm not.
You say that, but you don't know. There are how many billions of people on the planet?
What's for you is
When
for
that
you.
person comes, you'll be like, I
You.
said I said you'll be at your wedding I said I wasn't going to do this no more.
Yeah,
but
never
yeah,
agree with that so
so,
hard.
but the thing about it, for me speaking, what you just said, that's the person. She's that person. So for me, this is it. Like, um,
You.
yeah, this is like for me, this is it. If this don't work out, I'm cool. Like, 'cause the thing about it is, that's too much access to me. And honestly,
It's
that
all
is,
about how you build, because I was in a relationship where me and my ex were yin and yang, pea and pod. But time, age, circumstance, outward issues affected it. And I was just like, wow, if this can happen with that, oh, I know I'll never love this. I was Dionne Warwick out here. You know what I'm saying? And then I met my husband. And I was like, wow, I like he. You know what I'm saying? I never met nobody like he.
yeah, but I think it goes back to what Chris said. Because like as men, honestly, once we give a certain side of us, and it doesn't work out, is we're programmed to like I'm never doing this again. Because I can tell you as a kid, there's certain things I've done that I've never done ever again. From that as a kid, like they say, yo, I'm not doing, don't do this. I don't do it. And it's wired in my brain, even to the point where like you talking about vulnerability, like and I was in the depression a couple years ago to allow myself to be vulnerable, especially and it's only like a handful of men I could be vulnerable with. It's my father, my uncle Courtney. I would say my brother Jamal at times. My brother, he's not my brother by blood, but I call him my brother, Munchie. This,
Not
cause
Munchie.
I can't call. I don't know.
It's almost
Look,
Christmas.
it's the thing about it is I haven't said his first name in like 13, 15 years.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
so
but every
right.
family, there's all
So it's not too many men I could be vulnerable, but even if I have my fight bros and there is a level of vulnerability, it's not to the level of what these four men have done for my life. And at the end of the day, it's hard. Like I said, like I won't cry in front of anybody. You will see me and I could be internally in pain and stone cold, or my face would be a little like something's bothering me, but like it's hard to be vulnerable. Like it's to the point where my mom even said, like, you don't ask for help. And I'm just like, yo, you raised me this way. Like you
It's
raised me
your
to
fault.
never
It's
ask.
yours fault.
Right.
So that's the question I was actually about to get into, Antoine. What did you learn about, and this also goes to Shanah and Yve and myself. What did you learn about manhood from your dad?
Um, I would say I didn't learn manhood from my dad until 25, 26 when I moved on my own to LA. Prior to that, me and my dad had a stray relationship, but that's also I'll take heavy on my part because as a kid, whatever pain I had, I carried it to my teenage years. So, when I moved to LA, me and him had a real heart to heart. We sat, talked, joked, and I think after that moment, it allowed me to see that whatever pain I had as a kid, he was human at the time when it happened. So the person I was talking to at that time is not the person I had growing up. He's more able to be himself. At the time, he was struggling so much in his life and still trying to be a good father, husband and friend and son to everybody. But now as an adult, well, I was at that time, but at that time I saw him as him and not my father as a superior, like this is my dad, he's the best guy in the world. And it was like, nah, this is Antoine Sr., the man, and he's talking to me. So that's what I learned from him. He taught me how to be human in the sense of there's no labels when it comes to people. It's you're a human, I'm a human, you have a journey, I have a journey, and how do we connect our paths together in some way in this journey? So that's what he allowed me to understand manhood in that way. And then when I had my daughter, he really showed me what manhood is, to juggle how to be a man and a father at the same time. Where like I can be going through something and he's the first guy I call and he's just like, yo, I've been through this. You good? Like, and we talk, and then after that, I'm like, all right, cool, appreciate it, because now it's just like I'm not alone. He been through some stuff in his life, so I have a lot of examples to go by to not only try not to do, but also learn from myself. And even if I make those same mistakes, I learn not to be hard on myself because he told me it's just life. It's just a season. It's not today. It's just right now, and then tomorrow will be a better day.
Honestly, that's a very big question. I would even say that's a whole nother podcast worthy worth of a question, to be honest. Um, but very briefly, and I'll say this kind of in a vague sense, but with both my fathers, because I got a two for one deal. But with with both pops, right? The best analogy that I could have it is, or that I could put it, um, is that when I was younger, let's say 10, 11, right? Relationships with my fathers was like getting a piece of wood every year or getting a puzzle piece every year, right? So they'll give me a puzzle piece for my birthday. I'll look at it and be like, this sucks. You know what I mean? What is this? You know what I mean? Next year, I'll get another puzzle piece, right? Like it's the same thing. It's worse than the one you gave me last year, right? Fast forward 10 years, you get all these puzzle pieces, just like, yo, you've been giving me trash gifts for the past 10 years. Then you get to a certain point, and you're just like, wait a second. Then you look back, and you're just like, oh, so this is what you were doing this entire time. So essentially, it was a matter of not being, and probably because of the position I was in, being raised around a lot of women primarily for a long time, I wasn't able to. I was always intelligent, always able to understand what they were saying, but I wasn't able to internalize it up until very recently, right? To where now our relationships have changed. We can have different types of conversations. I could be like, yo, remember you told me this like 15 years ago? Yeah, my fault, dog. I was like, this makes a whole bunch of sense now. I'm a little bit late on that, but this
Like
makes
now
sense.
I get it.
Yeah,
No, for
so
real. Like it's
100%.
real.
It's almost like a light bulb turns on. You ever seen the Spider-Man meme where you look, the Spider-Man's looking at the other Spider-Man? It's just like, oh, so the way I'm thinking now, you already thought this way. Especially if you share the same DNA. It's almost like a carbon copy, right? So what a father offers you is just the opportunity to say, hey, here's what you're doing. I did the exact same thing. Instead of doing what I did, go this way, right? And a father just offers proof of concept because they're living out all the decisions that you would have made. They're living proof of all the decisions that you would have made had they not been there. So their job is to tell you, hey, I made these decisions. I see where you're going because you are literally a genetic copy of me, making the same decisions, right? Go this way instead. And a lot of men really don't realize that up until late 20s, maybe. You know what I mean? Some maybe learn a little earlier, but it's a marathon with fathers, at least from my experience. So yeah. like I said, there's so
And
many details even in between that
yeah,
big two, but
and I could piggyback too because for me, speaking my whole, I would say from 7 to 24, I'm not doing nothing my pop's done. Everything he said, everything he's done or I've known, I'm not doing it. Not doing it. I hit 24 and it's like everything I have done, I'm like, damn, he did pretty much everything I have done.
yep.
And I'm like, I'm following in his footsteps and everything. And then I'm just looking at myself, I'm like, damn, maybe he was right. Like he but it goes back. Like I was with my mother for a lot of times. If it wasn't with my mother, I was with my grandmother. And they're both strong, like strong women, like especially my mother. Like half the time I'd be like, Mom, you gotta chill. But that's how me and her balance each other. Where she's extra, I'm the calm. So with that understanding, it's like to get another person that's calm just like me, that's the part where I was like, yo, I can't balance because I'm used to being low here and you low with me. And I'm just like, now I'm eye to eye with you and I have to address you as a man the same way how you're addressing me as a man. And then that was like hard to battle within myself. And then, once I went through my own healing and progress, now it's like my father's my best friend. I we can speak we can speak for hours. And even to the point where like I catch myself because I say certain things and first of all, I look like him. I have the same name as him. And then we sound the same. So it's certain things I do or mannerism and stuff, and it's like, ew, that's my father. Like, but then and I'm glad we're having this conversation because I don't think I ever told him in person, but I kind of hinted it. But I might tell him recently, coming up. It's like I thank him for everything because I try to not be like him, and I think I'm more proud of being the man he is now than I have ever felt ever. Like that's my best friend. Like I can honestly talk to him about any and everything, and we both can look at each other. And if I can tell you, we could look. We don't have to talk. We could look at each other, and we both know what we're thinking at the same time, and we both would laugh. And then we'd be like, and then one of us would say, he was like, "Yo, I was thinking the same thing." So it's just now, I think, and I think all men have to go through it, and all kids, boys who are trying to find their way. Fathers are important because they guide us into the next level in our life, and I wouldn't be the guy I am without this guy, like at all. Like he gets on my nerves, but that's my guy. That's my road dog.
I think the last thing I'll speak to, I'm sorry, just very brief. I think the reason that we kind of go through this delay in understanding our fathers, and this can even go with women and mothers, you can correct me if I'm wrong, right? When we're young, without even realize it unconsciously, and I feel like just naturally, when you're across from the same sex, you almost see them as competition, right? Psychologically, not literally trying to go against them, but you feel like you can do better than what they're doing because you're of the same sex, right? Whether it's how they think, whether it's what they're doing, right? They did something, you're like, in your brain, I could do that better, right? Or I know better, right? And you do that for so long up until you get to a point where you're just like, you wasn't doing nothing different, right? It's just, I ain't know nothing. And that's why you end up gravitating towards your mom when you're at a younger age as opposed to your father. And then your father later in life. Or vice versa with a woman. I don't know if that's the same for women, where you gravitate towards your father because you're kind of subconsciously in competition with your mother.
Stay tuned for scenes from the next episode of the Melanin Movement podcast.
I never got that full, like that father daughter thing. I never got it, but I honestly could say I'm gonna cry when it comes to this. I finally feel as if I'm getting it now with his dad. And his dad is so amazing.